Hi there, I'm Amy and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm really excited today because the new Life and Death expansion pack is finally out, so in this video I'm playing around with that and making a bit of a starter home. I did mention that I was planning to do this in a few videos a while back now, so here it is. It was a bit difficult though. I was kind of expecting to be able to do this on a smaller lot, but the smallest lot in this neighborhood, which is sort of the main one where it has the town square and all of the events are there. Since it's still so new, I actually can't remember what it's called. It might be Crow's Crossing. But I wanted to build it in there just because it felt like the best space to start off playing with your Sims, since there are all of the events that you'll probably want to participate in. And the smallest lot in this area was just a 30 by 20, so that's what I'm building on here. It's on the Moppy Manor lot. And I used a bit of a reference picture. I'm not very used to Romanian revival architecture at all. I didn't really actually realise it was even an architecture type, to be honest. But it was quite fun to play around with it, so hopefully I did it justice. I did struggle quite a lot with the budget. This is the first ever starter home I've really made. I've done a few before when I've played The Sims myself in my own game files, but I've never uploaded something like that to YouTube. So at the time, because I was the only one seeing it, I sort of didn't really care how it looked. I figured, oh, well, when my Sim gets some money, I can just edit the build and make it look a bit nicer. But in this one, I was really trying to use all of the new stuff as much as possible, which was very hard because it was so expensive. But I think I did pretty well to incorporate quite a few new things. It's not a limited pack build. I mean, it is very limited insofar as the packs that I did use. There weren't many in addition. I think there were just a few chopping boards from the Cool Kitchen stuff pack. I brought in the trash can from high school years just because it was a lot cheaper than the one from base game, and we didn't get one in this new pack. And then there might have been one or two other items, but otherwise it's very limited pack, but I didn't completely limit myself. I was more interested in budget, and since it's my first time, I didn't want to make it even harder for myself. But as you can see, I'm pretty much getting the build sorted. I think I might end up shrinking it one more time a bit later as well, just to get a bit more money back and to help not have to worry about filling out extra space. So the back of the build comes in by one tile again. But otherwise the bottom floor just has a little entryway and then a kitchen over to the left side. And on the right will be a dining room and living room. And it's that dining room which is just going to get a bit skinnier. And then upstairs, there was actually enough space to fit 2 bedrooms. So if you had more than one Sim and you wanted to play in this and move in, then you would be able to furnish that a little bit, because you usually get an extra 2,000 simoleons for every additional Sim that you put into your household when you come out of CAS initially. But because of my monetary constraints, that second bedroom is just completely empty, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking of maybe making it a bit of a skill room, but I just didn't have the budget left over, and I really didn't want to be able to, I didn't want to downgrade any of the objects I placed. So I did just leave that completely empty. If you did want to download this build though, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery just under my EAID, AWayfaringFrog. And you can also find it under the hashtag AWayfaringFrog, and the details of that are down below in the description. So I did have a Sim in mind while I was making this. It was one that I was playing around with in CAS before the expansion pack came out. So I'm probably gonna change how she looks using some of the new assets from this pack. But I really wanted her to have bright green hair just because the new green swatch for the more multicolored hairs in CAS looked really cool, and I was really excited at the concept of being able to use those. But that meant that I ended up making the house really green themed, and honestly I thought it was just such a pretty shade and it felt really dark and moody, which was quite fun. So she is kind of what inspired this build, and I was thinking of doing a let's play and maybe posting it to the channel, so if you would be interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments down below. I'm not sure if I'll end up posting it, but I might record it just in case. Anyway, for the actual furnishing, as you can see, we've sort of got through some of that at this point in the build. I did jump around quite a bit just because I was trying to just manage the budget really. So I wanted to put down all of the important things that you will need to make this a functional house, and then sort of went back, edited a few bits and bobs here and there. So it does jump around a lot. I apologise if that's a little bit difficult to follow, but hopefully because it's quite a small house, it's not too much of a pain to watch. But a few things I end up placing down as well will disappear just because I was trying to claw back a bit of the budget. But the wallpapers, I really enjoyed using those. As I mentioned, I mostly went for this green swatch, but that crow wallpaper, I was desperate to be able to use that somewhere. And it is actually that crow wallpaper that is the wallpaper I've used for most of the house. Just for some reason, the swatches aren't just swatches of the same wallpaper, it's like an entirely different wallpaper. So that is the one that I've used throughout most of the house. I was also really gutted that I didn't have the budget to be able to bring in the new crow item as a pet, so that would be something your sim would have to save up for if you wanted to download this. But back into the living room, I did end up switching out the new sofa. I really didn't like any of the base game sofas, at least not for the price that they were within the catalogue, so I ended up going for this one from For Rent, which is one of the few other items that are actually from a different pack. Hopefully though, if you did want to download this, that's not too much to switch out. But I think it worked well with the room. And again, I was really keen to use this new fireplace, so that was much more of an important factor for me. So in order to be able to keep that, I just needed to get a bit of a cheaper sofa. I was tempted to use the one from Cottage Living because it's almost the same as this new one, but that was still quite expensive. So I did go for this For Rent one instead. And the new rugs, I absolutely love those. I think they're so pretty. So I made sure to include quite a few of those in the space. And for the bathroom, I did originally just put down a bit of filler furniture using some of the base game items, but I have gone back and just started editing that because, again, I really wanted to try and use the new ones. It does mean if you ended up having a child in this house and maybe using that second bedroom, there isn't a bathtub, so you would need to buy one or just find another way to wash them. I think if you've got Snowy Escape, then the Sims can just wash them in the sink. I'm not sure if that's a base game feature or not, but that is an option if you didn't want to get a bathtub instead. And then in terms of activities, I did include the new notebook, which I think is how you can prepare your bucket list. I'm not sure if you can write your will on that, but that is on the bedside table. It's just on the lower shelf. So it might have looked like I deleted it, but it is still there. It's just underneath the top of the side table. And then it's around here in the speed build that I'm realizing I really don't have a lot of budget left, and there's still so much empty space in the house. So I was just trying to fill that out a bit. I managed to squeeze in a bookshelf. The bookshelves in this pack, again, like everything else, are so expensive, but the one that I ended up adding was the one that was more designed towards children. But I thought it still looked really cute and it didn't look too childlike, so I figured that it worked nicely here. And again, it's another very useful item for your Sims to be able to use in gameplay. And then jumping outside to have a look at the landscaping, I got really caught up in debug for a while, so I did cut a lot of me scrolling out, but there are so many really pretty trees here. I wasn't really expecting that, but they look really autumnal already. So I'm just building through Manage Worlds. I'm not in a household or anything right now. You can kind of tell, I guess, by the infinity symbol where the budget usually would be. But it looks like the trees are just going to be this colour all year round because I do have seasons installed, so as far as the game's concerned, this should be summer at the moment. But they're all still very colourful, which was really cool, and I'm looking forward to building in this world a lot more. You might have also seen me just add a couple of clutter pieces into the living room. There was like the base game tomes or like magical looking books, and then there was a little box that had just a few items. I'm not really sure what they are, but they're both from base game, except they're also in debug. So because they were free, I just added those in as little extra clutter pieces to help fill out the living room and make it look a little bit more lived in. And then I brought in this fence area because it was such a big lot. I was sort of struggling to fill it out and make it look a bit more intentional rather than just this tiny house on such a big plot of land. So again, I was really relying on there being some debug fences, which there were, and I thought this one worked nicely and matched the build really well, so I included that around. It doesn't quite connect up to the house, which makes it look a little bit odd, so I wasn't a fan of that, but I did just kind of cover it with bushes. So it's not too obvious, and again, I figured if you did want to play here, you'd probably end up changing the fence and using an actual one from the game anyway, so it's something to work towards for your Sims. Speaking of which, I do have loads of ideas of videos to make with the new pack. One of them is I'm going to try and make another starter home, but a more rundown one. I didn't do any kind of rundown items in here. There are a few tears on the walls and things, and then the new item that sits on roofs and floorings, which it means that you can see through the roof or the floor depending on where you put it, which is so cool. But they cost money. I was kind of hoping they'd be free like the cobwebs from vampires, but they're not. And again, because it was a budget build and I was trying to make it look nice and use all of the new nice items, they didn't quite manage to make it in here. So I think it would be fun to do a more rundown build at some point. Maybe a starter home, so you can sort of do more of a fixer-upper style gameplay, but I'll see. I'm not sure how well that will go, given how difficult I found this starter home to do. But now I've done quite a bit of the landscaping at this stage. I really love these little red flowers that come in the new pack. I think they might be poppies, and then I combined them with this base game blue hydrangea bush, and I thought that looked really cute. I also started renovating the goth household, or the goth house, before this pack came out. I just thought it would be really perfect to tie into a renovation for them, so that's another video that I'm working on. The exterior though is probably not going to use many of the new items just because in Willow Creek I don't think this style of architecture really makes sense. But watch out for that video. I think this is the first time in quite a while where I've just been so excited to build in The Sims, and I'm even really thrilled at the prospect of doing the gameplay. It just looks like so much fun, so I can't wait to dive in properly. If you have got the pack yourself, you'll have to let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking of it. If you haven't got the pack, are you hoping to be able to buy it sometime soon? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And let me know what you think of my first ever attempt to build a starter home. But at this stage, we are now coming to the end of the speed build portion of the video, so if you have been enjoying it, please be sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel. And subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. As I already mentioned too, you can download this build using my EA ID on the Sims 4 gallery, which is just AWayfaringFrog. And let me know if there's any other specific kinds of builds you'd like to see on the channel. I do have some ideas, including a new kind of series that I thought would be fun to try out, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye now!